Check 1, 2. Hey, hello everyone. How are you doing? This is Teacher Mike VN. Hoping you're all doing well. Well, today in our lesson or our presentation, I want to discuss one of the most prominent book. It is actually a short story, and the book is called Walk in the Night. A Walk in the Night. Now, A Walk in the Night is a book that was written by a prominent South African writer called Alex La Guma, son of James La Guma. Okay, so A Walk in the Night, just as we know, it is a short story. It's a short story. Short story of about, I think, 91 pages. Sure. It's a book you can read in 30 minutes or 1 hour, and that's if you're busy, 1 hour and you're done. But if you're not busy, it's a book that you can read in about 30 minutes and you're done reading it and summarizing it. Well, today, to be specific, I am going to look at what we call symbolism. Symbolism. And in symbolism, because it is wide, I'm not going to discuss everything. I'm going to do a little bit of the symbolism here, and I am going to be specific in my presentation. I'm going to look at the title. And there are two keywords in the title that I'm going to choose. I'm going to look at a walk. Then the second symbol that I'm going to look at there is the night, if time allows. I've told you it is a short book, but according to me, it is a wide book. I can discuss it in 7 days. I can't just discuss it in 30 minutes after reading. The book is so wide that you can not complete discussing it in 7 days. I mean, in just 30 minutes. Now, so these are our two symbols that we shall dwell in today. The walk, we shall see the characters, they are walking. How is their walk affected? What does their walk symbolize? How do they walk? What makes them walk? What is the effect of their walk or walking? So basically, that is what we are going to look at. And in so doing, so we all walk, just as we've seen, we all walk, and we all have night moments or the dark moments. Okay, we shall look at the dark moments, the night. What is night associated with? What is the night as a symbol? We know that the night is dark, so we shall look at those dark moments in the lives of these Africans. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the book Walk in the Night was or is set in South Africa. It was written, I think, in around 1960. Was it 1965? In the early 60s there. Okay. And it was during the colonial, Alex La Guma is a victim of that apartheid policy. For those that don't know what apartheid is that brutal kind of system that was introduced in South Africa, whereby the natives, people were segregated, people were discriminated, they were separated according to race, okay, their skin color, where the Africans were pushed to stay somewhere in a place that is not fit to stay in, a place that is only filled with filth. a place having a lot of rot. When you look at here, it is District 6. By the District 6 is there. It is a place where no life existed. And that is why the Africans were pushed. Whereas the other colors, the other people who had lighter colors, the ones that are called whites, would stay in some specific fruitful, most fertile places in South Africa. Okay, so basically, that's what we are going to look at. In this book, we are going to look at very many characters that are affected by the events, affected by the circumstances, or by the oppressive nature of this system. Okay, and how do they react? How do they walk through the oppressive system? That's what we are going to look at. So you'll find that the Africans were alienated. They were pushed to stay in places where there were a lot of diseases, places where there is nothing productive coming, places where come from, places where there is a lot of chaos. Actually, just staying there alone would mean that you're chaotic. So we are going to look at that. Now, we are going to look at the characters there. This book has the major characters and the minor characters, but I will choose to discuss a number of them. Okay. And of course, we should also know that the author uses character as his mouthpiece. Now we have a main character here that I will start with, a main character called Michael Adonis. That's our first character. Now let me start by looking at him as in depth. Now, the character chooses the names Michael and Adonis as the character. In the text, we shall meet him as Mikey. We have two names there. We have Michael, then we have Adonis. In the Bible, Michael basically means angel. Angel. The Bible, Michael means an angel, a person who is like God, a person who is after God, a person, a gift from God. That is what Michael means, a gift from God. From God. It also means a person who is like God, a person or one who, a person who is like God. The Bible also describes him as an angel that mediates or who brings a spiritual warrior, a spiritual warrior. Spiritual warrior. Oh, okay. Now, this spiritual warrior is supposed to, he fights. For him, his role is to fight and bring goodness. His battles, the battles that he actually gets involved in is between good and evil. Good and evil. That's our main character. Okay, that's our Michael. So basically, he's supposed to bring good. He's supposed to fight evil. He's supposed to fight evil. He fights evil and brings good. So transforms evil into good. Oh my God. Are you seeing how brilliant Alex La Guma is? Chooses the names. We call it nomenclature. Nomenclature. Now, Adonis, on the other hand, Adonis basically means a young, handsome, boy. Young, handsome boy. Huh. Symbol. We're talking about symbolism. Young and handsome. Whereas his role is to make sure that he fights evil and brings good. Do we see that in our Michael Adonis? Do we see him performing those two roles? Do we see him as a handsome man? Yes. Do we see him as a gift from God? Yes. A person who is like God? Yes. We are all actually born in the image of God. That is what the Bible says. Is he a spiritual warrior who fights evil? We're going to see that. Now, for those that have read the book, we get to know that Michael Adonis works in a metal factory. We're now seeing a symbol. He works in a metal factory, but the factory, during the apartheid policy in Africa, the factory was only meant, it's a place where you were supposed to work. It was a representation of oppression and exploitation. Supposed to work from morning up to evening. You're supposed to work whether you're sick or not. You're not supposed to rest. That's the fact. That's how this apartheid policy works. And yet you're actually paid mega, as we are going to see. So Michael Adonis goes through a challenge. He wants to go wants to go and answer the call of nature. He goes to answer the call of nature. When he comes back, the boss asks him, "You man, where are you from?" He answers back. Now, it is a crime for you to answer back to your boss. It is a crime for you to answer back to your bosses. It means that the oppression there is you do not talk back to me as your boss. You are not supposed to answer back to me, person of a different color. Why? Who gave you the authority? Now, who gave you the authority to go and ease yourself? Who, can't you hold it up tonight? Can't you hold it up to the time you leave this place? Now, that alone makes him be terminated. Michael Adonis is terminated. Our angel is terminated from Job. Our young, handsome boy is terminated from Job. Now, this is a place that pays you less than $1 in a day. Less than $1 in a day. But because of what the people are going through, they want that money. Even that less than $1 is very important to them. And he is terminated. Now, this frustrates our Michael Adonis. Frustrates him. So he is a representation of all the people, the workers that we have in those mushrooming factories around you, those mushrooming schools around you, those mushrooming businesses around you, where people are not free to do anything. People are looking at that as their source of living. They are only given money to go and make them buy water and bread, just bread to make a barn, to make them gain a little energy that will take them through that. Okay, for those that want more videos on apartheid, I discussed some of them on apartheid, how that regime was. So, how is he now a representation? How is he a symbol? We see that when he works in this factory, I've said that the factory does not pay that much. Because when we see this young, handsome, who is supposed to be 25 years, 26 years, but when you look at his skin complexion, you can't think that he is 80 years and above. When you look at the palm of his hands, they have cracks. Author describes the hands as having cracks. They do not have life. There is no life coming out of this man. When you look at the clothes that the man is wearing, the clothes that Michael Adonis has, they tell us that the jean that he's wearing is stained with a lot of grease. You can tell that this grease has stayed there for about 10 years, about 5 years. This one is for 2 weeks. This one is fresh. This one just landed yesterday. You can tell the coatings, the different layers of grease on his cloth, his jean trouser, his shirt. The author says that even he has tried to wash the jean and it has changed from the blue color to of blue. If that color is there, it changes to, it's almost white. Let us not talk about the size of the jean. It's an oversized, meaning it doesn't even fit him. He cannot afford money to go and buy a cloth that fits him. You don't have that choice. And when we look at that, it means that this is the only cloth that he has, and he has worn it over and over. Maybe he washes it in a night and has to put it on in the day. Now, that is what Michael is doing. Now, when we look at Mikey, he is a symbol of the oppressed, a symbol of this ruthless regime that does not benefit. You do not, as a worker, you do not benefit out of the regime, but it benefits out of you. It is like a parasite. It will make sure that it sucks every bit of you. That's why they are not even given time to go and release themselves because of. So an angel who is supposed to fight for spiritual warrior and the like. Of course, later on we see him doing that. Then, so we see that the young man is no longer that handsome man because of working in a metal factories. They're not given the gear, working gear. They don't have the gloves where you're supposed to hold the metal with the safety gloves. You hold a metal and it pricks you. At times the things are hot. You have to bear with it. So the whole thing, the whole skin is lifeless. Now, when he is terminated, he's frustrated because this is where he thinks his life is. He is frustrated. And so what happens? We see him reacting towards that. Because of the oppression, we see him reacting. Because of what he goes through, we see him reacting. Later on, when he comes out, he meets somebody called Uncle Doughty. What does he do to Uncle Doughty? Because of what somebody of the same color one time makes him go through or made him go through, he makes sure he punishes Uncle Doughty and kills him. When he meets the two officers who definitely took him because the system tells them that, you know what, the moment you see a black person, that one is a criminal. They ask him for weed. We know you have it. Bring it out. Where is it? Bring it out. And he curses them. He just wants to kill anyone that is white or of a different color from his. Okay, so we see him reacting that way because of what he goes through. That young man there who is now young. And of course, now we see him trying to perform his role as that. But putting that aside, putting that negative bit of him aside where he kills Uncle Doughty, who kind of, because I'm going to talk about Uncle Doughty, who is really a good man tries to advise him, tells him that, you know what, you are like a son to me. I'm your father. I'm one of your kind. I even married someone of your kind. I am you. Okay. We go through these circumstances as human beings. Go through, I went through this. I know you're also supposed to go through that. This is what shapes us as people, as men. But of course, he does not listen and ends up murdering him. Okay. Out of frustration. Right. So whatever he goes through is basically symbolizing those people that there are so many people in your society that are frustrated and end up behaving, end up doing things that they wouldn't have really done, but because of the conditions that they have been made to go through, they are brutal by nature. How many of them do you know in your society? Mention them. Okay. All right. So our second character, so is a symbol of oppression, is a symbol of exploitation. We've seen that it symbolizes oppression, it symbolizes exploitation. Okay. Mm. Right. So the second character that I would want to share, because of time, I want to share a person called, I think I'm done with that. Let me talk about a person called Willie Boy. Our second character there is Willie Boy. Is he a victim of circumstance? Because when you look at Willie Boy right from the start, this is a young boy who even tells Michael that, you know what? Actually, when Michael has been terminated from job, from the factory, metal factory, he meets Wilbur, and Wilbur tells me, you know what? For me, that's why I have vowed never to work. He has gone through oppression. He has seen the things and he said, no, to hell, I will not work. Because me who is not working and you, we are more like the same. There is no difference between the two of us. So what happens? I will not. But when you look at him, he's a very good boy. We don't see him getting involved in other naughty things. He's not a naughty boy. He's not that dubious boy that gets involved in crime. No. But we see that he also represents those groups of people who have, maybe they don't have chance to work. They have been frustrated because they keep seeing people suffering. Those work and say like, I think me who is not working, I'm even better. So we see him, of course, telling Michael like that. Then later on, see him trying to go for help. He wants something to help to eat. He doesn't have, then he says, okay, now I have my friend. I think I can go to my friend Michael or Mikey for help. Then he goes to Mikey, knocks at Mikey's place. Michael does not help him. Then says, no, I think I can go to Doubt now. That is juxtaposition that I would think. There is some contrast that the writer brings in there. Because when you look at the way Michael encounters Uncle Doughty meets Michael going in the stairs and tries to invite him to go and drink. Of course, sees this young boy who is frustrated and tells him, you know what? That's what we go through as men. You are supposed to face it as a man. But Michael does not take that advice. Then he invites him, okay, now, young boy, come and we talk over it in my place. Michael is so negative about it because of the color of this man. Of course, I'll talk about Uncle Doughty. Now, ends up murdering. He does not see anything good out of Uncle Doughty. But when Willie Boy knocks at Michael's room and Michael refuses to open, he goes to Uncle Doughty and says, let me go to this old man. Maybe he can help. So goes, knocks, and the man does not respond. So he opens the door and finds the man dead. Unfortunately, he runs away. Now, when he runs away, because the society thinks that is Willie Boy, of course, they know that he doesn't work. Where does he get money? So The woman rushes and says, this boy must have committed a crime. Why is he running away? So she goes to Uncle Doughty's room and finds him dead and definitely concludes that it's Willie Boy who was killed. And yet, right from the beginning, we see Willie Boy, a good boy. He's not capable of even killing a fly. And he is now a victim. People now assume he is the one who was murdered. There are some people in your society that have been implicated, have been arrested, they have been incarcerated, they have been put in dungeons, they have been put in basements, they have been put in prisons and made to rot from there, and yet they are actually innocent. Willie Boy is killed. Willie Boy dies. Willie Boy, Constable Rout hunts after this man and makes sure he dies miserably. That is the challenge. There are people who rot in jail. There are people who are left to die, and yet they are actually innocent. So he represents all those people there that die innocently, that are arrested innocently and made to suffer, and yet they have not committed any crime. Now, the next person that I will discuss, who is also a symbol, is our Joe. Joe does not appear that much in the text. He doesn't appear that much. He appears briefly, but his appearance plays a big, big role in our text, A Walk in the Night. We see that this boy or this young man called Joe is actually a vagabond. He does not have where to stay. They say no one knows where he came from. He just appeared from nowhere, like a ghost, just appeared from nowhere like a ghost. Now, he represents those people that you see on streets in your towns, in your major towns and minor towns. You see them there, but you don't know where they come from. They don't have any abode. They don't have anywhere to sleep. They sleep on streets. When you look at the attire, when you look at the coat, the long coat that Joe is wearing, long coat and all tattered, they're just joined by threads. The whole thing is just lifeless. But he's a very happy man. When you look at the kind of job that he does, he's always goes and picks rotten fish that has been discarded by the fishermen, goes and picks mussels, and imagine that is rotten. You know, when you pick something that has been discarded and that is what you go to sell, that is the kind of life that Joe is living. So he represents those people, the traders that you see in town, who go to trade, who try as much as they can to go and pick something to make them earn a living. Somebody picks bottles and goes and sells. That makes them. So there are some people who even go to the rubbish pits. There's a book I read I think it was called Matigari. It's called Matigari. Yes, Matigari. Some of you must have read the book, Matigari, by Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Okay? It talks about how the young kids would run after a tractor that has gone to dump rubbish. Then around the rubbish pit, there is a fence and there is somebody who is always guarding there, and he keeps charging these young kids. In order for you to access the rubbish pit and go and pick whatever has been dumped there, you have to pay someone. And that is how life is. So this Joe goes and picks that and sells. Of course, our Michael Adonis comes and tries to warn him, tells him, you know what, I don't deal with that. Don't do that business there. You know, the council will arrest you. No one wants to see you with that rotten fish. Make sure you don't get involved in that business. And so Mikey then ends up, he asks him, that's how kind-hearted Michael is, asks him, you know, Have you had lunch? Have you had something to eat? And offers. Now, this is a person, if I have to go back to my person who has been just terminated from you. He knows he does not have any other money, source of income, but he has that good heart that gives the little that he has. So Joe is a symbol. He represents those people, traders that keep hustling, earn a living. Those traders on those streets who are always chased by the authorities. They have their suites around streets. They have their shoes, their belts. They have, petty businesses, but the authorities come and chase them. And you find them gathering whatever they are, run away with it. At times they confiscate the things and they end up looting them. Okay? And that is our Joe. But he's a happy man. We don't see misery. Of course, we see the way he's dressed, his dirty clothes, his dirty coat, and all those things, but he is happy. He runs, he's energetic, and the like. Then we look at another character that I would want to discuss in our presentation here. I chose to call him an alien character because this is Uncle Doughty. Some of you are wondering why the author brings Uncle Doughty here. Uncle Doughty. Now, Uncle Doughty is, I think, Irish. Is he Irish? Irish origin. But he stays in District 6. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, I told you at the beginning, District 6 is where you find filth. Look at that slum in your area where you stay, slum. That slum is District 6. No one would want to be in a slum. Now, this is where an Irishman stays. They also tell us, the author tells us that at a certain point, this man had a wife, and the wife was African. I think the wife died or something happened. They don't tell us more about the wife. Okay? Now, the mere fact that he stays in District 6 means something pushed him, and yet he's white in color. It means something pushed him to stay there. Now, he also married a black or an African or a South African, okay, a native. Now, what is the symbol here? Uncle Doughty was once a prominent actor. He tells us that he has acted in many movies. It means he was at a certain point wealthy. He had something. He was a celebrity. Of course, if you're an actor, because he tells us he traveled, he has been to England, he has been to most of those countries. He has been there, he's traveled. You can't travel when you don't have money. But now, what is the problem? What pushes into District 6? Basically, it means that his celebrity life was not valued where he stays. His celebrity life was totally shattered. The government did not do anything to promote him as an individual, a person who has brought fame to your country, to your nation, and you don't support that person. Okay, so we have seen in your communities, there are those people that have made a name. They have made a name in different forms. Somebody might have been a businessman and his business flops. A trader and his business flops. And it goes back to zero. Some people have been musicians. We once prominent musicians. They would sing, and some of you still dance to their tunes. Mention them, they're there. Give their names. But where are they now? We are supposed to uphold them. We're supposed to lift them. We're supposed to support them, because at a certain point, some of them made us proud. How many of us have they supported that person who composed your national anthem? That person who sang about AIDS, that person who sang about unity. We have left them die off like that, fed. So Uncle Doughty is a representation. Now, the mere fact that he has married an African, it means, because at a certain point he tells Mikey that, you know what, I am one of you. I am your father. You see, I even married one, the kind of you. But we see that this system of apartheid does not care whether you are of their color or not. As long as it's kind of system that would only benefit a few, those top people. Because later on, we shall also look at somebody called Constable Rout. But you find that he's also actually miserable. Shall get there. So, Doughty, Irish, we expect him to be well off, but he does not. He is pushed to live in District 6, the place where the Africans were pushed to live. When you look at this book, for me, I've told you it's a big book. Because when I look at District 6 in comparison with that public place of convenience, it looks minor, but the way the author describes it, there is a way they take care of even the flowers around it. The streets, the roads that take you to the public place of convenience are well catered for. But when you go to District 6, the opposite. So he represents those kinds of people who have ever been famous, who have really benefited the country and the country benefited out of them, but they have not benefited out of the country. There are many of them. Okay, so the fifth character that I would want to talk about today in our discussion is somebody called Frankie Lorenzo. Lorenzo. I don't know whether it comes from Lawrence. I think so. Lorenzo. Now, Frankie Lorenzo is also a symbol. Remember, we are walking in the lives of these Africans, their way, their walk of life. We've seen Michael Adonis walking from the factory, how we see Willie Boy walking all through until he goes to that he goes on top of the buildings and they chase after him, they murder him, they even shoot him, and yet he's actually innocent. Okay, so we are now looking at Frankie Lorenzo. Now, when we look at Frankie Lorenzo, he stays also in District 6, but when you look at where he stays in a makeshift. He stays in a place where I think you can just collect like those tins, when after you have your canned meat and tinned meat and tinned beans and the like, and then you empty and then you spread it like this. That's what you collect, keep gathering from the rubbish pit and make a house. So that is where he stays in a makeshift. Now, in that kind of house, we see that he actually has children. He has been blessed with children. There are so many children. There are 4 kids that share a small kind of bed. 4 children. And to show that he's so blessed, the wife is actually again expecting another child. So the man is so fertile. I don't know whether it's a man or the woman who is so fertile. Fertile. Now, the guy is poor. He does not know anything about family planning. the government's responsibility to make sure you are educated about family management, family planning. He doesn't know that. Now, the most disturbing bit is that according to this system, it is a kind of system that wants Africans to be poor. Make sure you are poor. Now, the more kids that you have, according to that system, the more they will put a burden on you, the more you become poor, the more you cannot develop yourself and the like. Because you cannot afford basic needs like a matchstick, like kerosene. You can't afford that. Okay, your kids are always constantly falling sick. You can't, even if you're working, you cannot really save money. Every now and then you are spending. And that is what we see Frankie Lorenzo. He lives in a very, very filthy environment. Actually, even the woman, he keeps complaining. Now, again, you are pregnant. And the woman asks him, now, is it my problem? I think it is you who wants to over-enjoy. Every now and then you're over-enjoying. Now, you find that the poor people have a lot of time to have sex and produce. The rich people do not have time. They look for kids. They're always chasing after money. They're always chasing after money. They don't have time. Even when someone produces a child, does not have time to take care of the child, does not have time to bond with the child because he's always chasing after money. So Lorenzo now there symbolizes this group of poor people who cannot even afford buying pills for family planning. They don't have, actually, they may not even have time to, or money to buy radios. They don't even listen to radios. Programs about family planning does not reach them. So they are always producing and producing and producing. But in Africa, for us, we believe that children are a blessing, are a gift from God. The more children you have, the more the protection, the more wealth. If you produce girls, they are going to give you wealth. If you produce boys, they are there to promote your culture and your clan. Okay, so for us, kids are a blessing. But we see that Lorenzo is frustrated because of that. He knows he cannot do anything to sustain the children. He cannot feed the children. Okay? So, I is a symbol of those oppressed people, those poor. It represents the poor people who cannot receive the basic information from the government. The government also does not take care of them, does not care whether you receive. It makes sure, and for your own information, if I am to even talk about the education system in South Africa, it's a kind of system where you, of course, the apartheid policy is a kind of policy whereby people were segregated, that the Africans were not allowed to go in the same schools as the others. They were not allowed to go in the same markets as the others. They were not going in the same hospitals as the others. And there is a reason. Okay, the hospitals that they would go in would not have services. The markets that they would go on would not have those fancy good things that they would enjoy. Otherwise, they would maybe work harder, okay, or steal or whatever. They would not go to the same schools that the other people went to because they would get better education, and they were not supposed to get better education. That's why they were separated from others, okay? So the kind of education that they would get was only that kind small education that would make them learn Afrikaans as a language, that would enable them communicate with the bosses in workplace. But in actual sense, it was not a kind of education that would give you skills to go and do something of your own. When you look at most businesses in this book, they were owned by foreigners. The music shops. Actually, even this book is wide. Okay, but let's stick to our symbolism. Okay, then, so that is it. Because even in church, actually, for me, I think the reason as why the Africans were allowed to go in the same churches with, so that You're not brainwashed, in quotes. You may not, those preachers may end up, preaching about need for freedom. So they had to make sure in church they are in the same church as the whites. But unfortunately, even in church, the Africans would sit on one side and the whites would sit on. There's a lot of racism there. Okay. But those things, we shall come to them later on. Today, we are only talking about characters. And remember, we are, first of all, discussing only a walk. These people are walking their lives. How is that walk of marriage? So, marriage and the challenges of marriage. Now, the other character that I would want to talk about, maybe they're kind of minor characters. There's a character called Sophis. We don't see him. We don't see Sophis appearing anywhere. But there is a reason as to why the characters keep mentioning Sophis. Now, Sophis does not appear. Sophis, right from the beginning, they are looking for him. The foxes are looking for Sophis, but he's nowhere to be seen. Now, the mere fact that the groups of the foxes are looking for, Foxy are looking for Sophis, tells us that Sophis was a member. And of course, we know that Foxy is a leader in a group of bandits. Those young boys who are frustrated. Of course, I'll come back to Sophis. But now, somebody cannot just disappear because we don't see him. Right from the beginning of the book up to the end of the book, we don't see him, but they keep looking for him until they want to replace him with Michael Adams. Now, what does Sophis symbolize? We find that now Sophis, because he has been wiped now, I believe, just by the nature of the job, maybe one time the authority got him and arrested him. At worst, maybe he was killed, but no one knows. He might have been incarcerated. He might have been arrested and put in a dungeon. He might have been arrested and put in a cell in the middle of the sea, where maybe Nelson Mandela was 27 years or something. He might have been arrested and put in a certain basement and being taught how to be a good person. Maybe his fingers have been cut off or his fingernails have been removed. They are busy torturing him somewhere. We don't know. That is where he is. Now, he represents those people that have disappeared from your community. Maybe it was due to political environment and they were arrested and by a certain group of people and they have disappeared. You don't know. You have looked for him. You've made announcements. You've gone to the radios. You've gone to every bar. You have gone to every place that you think that a person is, but he is nowhere to be seen. That is exactly who Sophis represents. Somebody who is now being tortured, who is being punished, who has been killed and he has been wiped out of the globe. You don't see him. And maybe you pray that one time he appears. You keep telling people, please, when you see him, please let him. So he represents a group of people who have those political opponents, those that oppose others. I might not say the ones opposing the government, because even the anti-government people have their issues. Political rivalry. You find that somebody, maybe an MP, tries to kill another person, or maybe an opponent, somebody who is coming to. So it's just a political contention. That's what we are looking at. So that's what Sokis represents. He is a symbol of those people that keep disappearing from our societies, our communities. Okay, and we cannot trace their whereabouts. Then I am also going to look at, I think, my last character of the day that I will look at is someone called Foxy. Now, Foxy is a leader. He's running this group of bandits, this group of naughty boys that are tired. They have been driven into such acts by the conditions, the prevailing conditions around them. The prevailing conditions have made them get disgruntled, disillusioned, and so they have resorted to getting making getting their way of living in not a clear way. They have got involved in robbery, petty theft, though I don't see them killing people. Okay. Now, Foxy and the group, the boy with a skull on his the necklace, I think wears a necklace having a skull. Okay. So such people represent those disillusioned members of your society that have been led because of the conditions, they have been made to behave in a way that they wouldn't actually behave. So we have Foxy leading that group of people, represent such. It might be those people that were kicked out of a certain political society, or they have been denied, they have looked for jobs and they have failed to get the jobs. They went for a service, they went to hospitals and they tried to look for service. Maybe one time somebody wanted medical attention, but there was a lot of corruption there and the person gets disillusioned. So there are so many things that push people to behave the way they do behave. And that is what Sokis represents. The disillusioned members of society that now are made to act in that way. The border guys that have always been arrested, and so they get tired and say, oh, now if you don't want us to do that, now let's just, the cab guys, the taxi guys that are always being taxed and they have been chased out of the cities and and so they say, now what else should we do? And they resort into burglary. They start robbing people at night, which is of course, a bad act. Then lastly, but not least, is our constable. Constable route. Now, I choose to bring our constable route because I also want to look at his work as a symbol. His work as a symbol. Constable route, of course, he is not black. He works for the government. He's pro-government, meaning he is white in color. But when you actually critically look at him, he has a challenge. The man is disturbed. First of all, he's disturbed psychologically because of the wife. He keeps telling us about the wife. He says the wife is so lazy. He actually tells us that even the mother, that's the mother-in-law, the wife's mother, warned him about this lady here, but he went on to marry anyway, married her. Now, he also is this man who is trying to work tirelessly to please the bosses. Like George Orwell's book, Animal Farm, we have Boxer working so tirelessly for his what? Right, so that is route. Now, he has a big challenge. He has failed to manage his family. And the moment you fail to manage your family, there is no way you're going to manage public. The moment you fail to manage your wife, there is no way you're going to manage public. Now, this is somebody who is working. Now, he brings all his frustrations from home, brings them to job. So we find him working. I do not know whether his wife was black, but the nature, if the wife was black, maybe that tells us why he hates blacks. But I do not think by the nature of Ralph that he can afford marrying a black person. But you never know. That's how we can discuss this in literature. So look at the circumstances that push him behave like this. Now, when we see him is it out of frustrations that he becomes so zealous? Do I call it zealous or so aggressive that he wants to work and work and work? But we see that he hates Africans, and the mere fact that he suspects Africans, he will make sure you pay for it. I think he doesn't even want to smell an African. The mere fact that the word African appears, he wants just kill. So we see whatever he does. Now, his ruthlessness is seen now when he comes out to arrest Willie Boy. Willie Boy, who is running away from his troubles, actually the troubles that he did not even commit. And Main Constable Ralph says, no, I will hunt you until I get you. And he ends up getting this boy. When he runs to the buildings up there and the iron sheets, he goes and the boy hides, says, no, I will wait for you. The way a lion will wait for some other animal that has climbed on top of the tree and stay there for over a week until the animal gets tired and falls. And that is what happened. So Ralph hunts him down, shoots him, and leaves this young boy to die in the vehicle. Even after his partner warning him and telling him, please, let us take this young man to hospital. But when you look at him, we see that there is not much difference between him and the Africans. He is also poor, he's also frustrated, and he's going through hell. Now, he is a representation of those people in authority that are always working to please and please their bosses. But in actual sense, there is nothing they gain out of that. He tries to please the bosses, but there is nothing. We don't see any development. Because even the friend he keeps complaining, the partner, the driver. This man should be chased away. Otherwise, he will cause us, the whites, he will cause us problems. Look at that policeman, that police officer that solicits bribes, gets bribes from, because when you look at Constable Ralph, there is a time he goes to this business here. Let me see if I can find the page, I think page 40. Page 40, is it page 40? Yes, I think from page 38. From page 38 of this text, A Walk in the Night. We see him going to this business place, he finds these people, and the mere fact that they call him boss, it means they're acquaintances. They know each other. It's not the first time Ralph enters in that room, in that house, in that building. They know him. He has been there. He has ever been there. Oh, he has always been there. When he enters, he asks, how is business? How is business? How is business? Chips. And the guy tells him, business is slow, boss, route. So they call him boss, route. Mentioning your name, it means I know you. At the end of it all, he tries to scare them around and get money and give him bribes. Then, of course, warns him and moves away. Corrupt officials. There are so many corrupt officials. Those people that are given authority, those people that are given roles to play in your society, but they do not play the roles in that they are given and end up mismanaging. Who are those? Hey, they're given roles and they end up mismanaging. There's inspectors of schools, the inspectors of hospitals, of health. Somebody comes to that drug shop, that clinic there, and finds it all filthy, you're supposed to shut it down, but because you've given the person money, he will let you operate even without a license. That is what wealth represents. In hospitals, in schools, find schools without qualified teachers, but they just give them, find schools, people cheating exams, but just let them go. So that is what this constable route represents. Apart from those aggressive people who want to work and work and work. But now we go on to see what it symbolizes. So this is what I wanted us to look at today. Remember, we are looking at symbolism, and we have just looked at the first symbol, which is a walk. Now, in my next presentation, we shall look at the night, darkness. So we shall see the dark part of the lives of the Africans there. What is that night moment of those Africans? Okay. All right. So thank you so much. There are so many other symbols. We are not only going, there are so many other symbols. When you look at District 6 alone, it's a symbol. So it is very, very wide. Very, very wide. But today, that is what I wanted us to look at. Thank you so much for paying attention. Thank you for being good listeners. Do comment with the comment section, and don't forget to like, hit the like button, and also subscribe. It's very good for you to subscribe and hit that bell there so that you're always alerted when a new video is uploaded. Don't forget to share with friends, because sharing is caring. Okay, if this video has been beneficial to you, please comment, give me a thumbs up so that I can make more videos. It will help me make more videos, because I know people are benefiting out of this. Otherwise, I remain your teacher. I'm teacher Mike VN Oturu. Thank you, and may God bless you.